Well, you know, one of the hard things to do at a campground is to start a campfire when you've got wet wood. And in a lot of campgrounds, due to the emerald ash borer scare, you are not allowed to bring wood with you, so you got to buy wood either on site or adjacent to the park. And a lot of times the wood is not seasoned correctly, so basically it's wet. And when it's wet, it's just hard to start. So I'm going to show you how to start a fire using wet wood. Now what I have to start the initial flame with is one of these fire starters that I made. It looks like this, and I do have a video on how I made that, and you can refer to that. I'm not really into killing too much, it's just too much of a hassle. So here we go. We're going to start the fire starter down here, and this wood is relatively dry to the touch, but it's not really seasoned. So there, I started it, and then I'm going to pause this for a little bit until we get at least something going here. Now the trick to getting wet wood to burn really good is to get a lot of heat in the fire, which means you got to get a good bed of coals. So as soon as this burns up, it's going to basically stop burning again because this wood is not really seasoned. And what I mean by seasoning is the moisture content has dropped tremendously from when the tree was felled. Seasoning means just that, it basically 1-year-old wood. So if you cut a tree down and let the wood set out for about a year, then it will be seasoned enough that it'll burn good. I can tell right away this is not properly seasoned. One way is by the amount of smoke, but another way is right down here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's water seeping out as steam, and you can hear it boiling at the surface. And that's because there's water trapped inside the wood, and the wood is heating it up enough so that it's coming out as steam. Those are two telltales of having unseasoned wood. Okay, there's a little bit of flame left, but it's mostly out. If you remember back in junior high science, there's 3 things that create fire. That is heat, a fuel source, and oxygen. And if you increase one of those, you're going to cause a hotter flame, and then when you have a hotter flame, then you're going to be able to burn the wet wood a little bit better. So we're going to take our ingredients, the heat, the fuel, and oxygen, and increase the oxygen and see what happens. And I'm going to do that by fanning the flame with this. And if you do it enough, so the old saying, fan the flame, works here. And as you can see, as I'm fanning this, it's actually building the fire. So we got a lot better result when we fan this with a flame. Now anytime you fan the fire, you got to make sure that you don't blow coals all over the place and set something else on fire that's not part of the fire. But the more you can do this, once you start getting a bit of coals in there, the better. Now this is a lot of work. So, an alternative is a fan. How better to fan the flames than with a fan? There we go. But you got to have some coals started to be able to do this. Otherwise, you just blow it out. Okay. Well, that works better. That's an improvement, certainly. But you know what? There's nothing like going all the way. And to really go all the way, you need air power. This is an air compressor, and here we go. You gotta be a little careful that you don't blow the coals out and set something on fire. But this works. And you know, the blacksmiths figured this out hundreds of years ago, you know, because they stoke a hotter fire by using a bellows. And that's all we're really doing here. And you can really hear all the steam coming out. There's about 4 or 5 logs that are all heavy laden with lead ends. Now we're getting some flame here, but just to show you how effective this is, we'll turn the fan back on. Pretty convincing, huh? Look at that flame now. This is just from the fan. And I'll take the fan back off. And it'll probably die down a little bit. So you may have to run the fan on low for a while, or you may have to adjust the speed a little bit. But eventually this will get enough heat and it will stay lit. This is how you can effectively get a good fire going when you have wet wood.